about him, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not even because you know me, I really don't like rap, and I don't dance anymore like I used to, and all this kind of stuff.
Mm.
But what I like most about him is when you watch the stuff that he's doing, you can see that it's not pushed or contrived. It's a natural thing from him. It's probably because he's so conditioned from all the stuff that was taught to him before, and
Mm.
it's irrelevant in this day and time. So I mean, stuff that he was doing with the BDSM stuff and the church stuff and the pregnancy, this usually would have people really up in arms. But
Yeah.
for but for some reason, it didn't get that boom that I thought it would get.
Mm.
So that means that somewhere along the line, we are communicating and understanding, but still there's that opposition because of either the Bible or our backgrounds or where we're from. I mean, you're a young person, so you know. I mean, I'm 60 years old, so it's your turn now. So I'm glad that it's coming from a young person about what is happening today. Now, what do you, can I just, I want to ask this question because I think it's important. Since the lockdown, and you haven't been able to really hook up because, you know, the bathhouses and all these things are probably shut down now because of the pandemic and all these kinds of things. So, what did you do during the pandemic when you were lonely?
All I did was really eat and go to work like 80 hours a week, and post like funny content all over my social media. And I kept myself busy because I felt like when I was in the house, I started to get really depressed.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to pull myself together and get out the house. Even though there was COVID going on, I still was outside. I still was doing like photo shoots and stuff like that safely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I made it through. You know, some folks, unfortunately, their stories are different from mine, but I just know that I kept myself busy, which is extremely important because when you are by yourself for all those months and days, hours, seconds, minutes, you know, you tend to go crazy because you're behind four walls all the time. So I made sure I didn't fall into that depression. So I kept
Mm-hmm.
myself busy.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about Black men on the DL. What is your advice to just men in general who might be of who I don't want to just say of color. The reason we focused in on of color is because of Black men is because we don't talk about this. What do you say to Black men who are just bottoms or effeminate and this is their sexual preference? This is what they like. I mean, because you're open, honest, and you're out, what do you say to them? What's your advice to them?
For the GL community,
You just no, not just to the DL community, to just Black men who might be questioning their sexuality or who might be doing things on the DL and and you know stuff like that. To be like you, not
my
necessarily like you, but to be just more honest with the people that they're hooking up with, or they're in a relationship with, or they're married to. And I mean, because it must be very hard for a man to leave his house with his two children and his wife
wife too.
and go and hook up with a man. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm. I
And
just I was just having some flashbacks, honey.
and for him to come home to his wife after this enjoyable experience because he wouldn't have went over there on a continue because do you have regular DL men that see you that have children? Because you know most Black men have children somewhere.
Hmm. Um, I would say at this moment I don't have any. I don't deal with DL men like that. I don't have any DL men trying to. I mean, they're in my inbox, but I don't really reply back to it. I'm more of like a conservative bottom. I don't really be out there like that. But However, like when it comes to DL men, I try to stay away from that because it brings a whole bunch of negative energy with it, because it's like you're at the bottom of the barrel. They get what they want, they leave you there, and they go back to their wife and kids. And I'm not going to be number two for nobody, because I'm going to be number one. It's either me or her. You make the decision, because I'm not going to sit up over here and get bust down, and then you leave my house and then go back to your wife and kids and then hit me up and then talk about you catching feelings, but you're married with kids. I don't want to be confused. I don't want to go through any of that. So I try to just avoid that.
Okay, so let's just say Michael's out for a night, and you're feeling frisky and you're looking for a man. Where would you meet these men? Do you go to the spa? Do you do these, people go to the drive-in movies with people? Do you pick them up at the bars? Where do you meet these men? And mainly men that you are looking for as being a top. Because in most bars these days, these are usually little white twinks that are mostly bottoms.
Pretty much.
And so how do you find the kind of men that you are looking for?
Well, I want to say probably like about 80% of the time when I am at the club, they think that I'm a top because I'm like 6'2", 6'3", so I'm tall. So they look at me they see this beard, they see this cute face, they think that I'm a top. So I always attract bottoms my way. So that just doesn't work out for me. But there have been times where, there has been guys who come up to me and compliment me and tell me how good I look and things like that. And the conversation that goes from there. But right now, I haven't really been so focused on dating like I used to, because I have to get myself together first before I can date somebody else. So that's the most important thing with me. But back in the day, yeah, I would meet them at the bar and stuff like that. We'll go home, do 1, 2, 3, get out, see you later, boom, 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 because no one really wanted, still to this day, a lot of them don't want a relationship. They want to dip and dabble and then lead you on. And that whole entire time, as they're leading you on, they got a whole boyfriend and things like that. So it's like, I'm very cautious when it comes to dating somebody, because I don't want to get another letdown after letdown. I take a different stance from it now. So I have to really look into this person before I sit up over here and give them the time of day, because I don't want my time to be wasted, because that time I invested into that person could have been time I invested into myself.
Okay. Is same-sex marriage legal in Rhode Island?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I actually was married. We'll say that. I actually was married legally. So, yes, been through that too.
Just a couple of more questions, because you've been very interesting, and we've been safe so far the whole show. So she's sitting here and she hasn't said anything. Usually she's like,
your manager.
Yeah,
your manager said, "Oh, tell us hi."
And she's very quiet. And usually when I'm saying something that I ain't supposed to be saying, and she's all. But things are going well, she says. Now let's talk about you. Have you ever been with bottom men that did you ever take a bottom home and he was okay with doing what you wanted to do?
Yes, many moons ago. Yes, I was fooled. Actually, I was fooled before, but yes, I have. A few times.
It must feel weird when you get home with another bottom and the bottom says to you, well, you do me. And then once you've done them, that's if you agreed to do that. And then all of a sudden, they're not interested in the sex anymore, because they either thought maybe that you were attractive or you had a large member and they like that kind of stuff. And they just used you to get what they want. Have you ever been tricked like that?
I have. And when I came to those situations, I just like, no, because they knew I was a bottom. I let them know. And they was like, oh, well, I top here and there. I like top. I'm like, okay, well, I already had a few drinks in me. Let's go back to my house. But that was years ago. That was like the young me, like the early 20s. So
Mhm.
now it's like I've grown up from that. I carry myself differently now. So no, I don't deal with that stuff anymore. But I have run into that a few times and respectfully decline and got them back home.
Okay, now the reason I'm asking you this is because she wrote down these things here for me to ask, and I think that
Hmm.
they make sense. Now I want to ask you another a sort of a personal question in the same line as this. Have you ever been home with a married couple, either two guys, or I mean, same-sex partners, or husband and wife? And did you have you ever been home with people like just that random hookups?
Well, I had a threesome with a couple years ago in Bronx, New York, but that was probably like when I was like 2021. But that was just the first and last time.
Was this a
Um,
hetero couple or same
no, it
sex?
was gay, same sex, good
Okay.
boyfriends. I think I was like 20 when I did that. But like that's not me. I tried it, I experienced it, and the way how I hold myself to like a very high standard when it comes, especially to my body. Like I just can't do that at 31. I can't do that, So some folks are in it. Congratulations to them in their party relationships, but I don't see myself doing that now at age 31. Years ago at 20, I have tried it. It was very interesting, but it wasn't for me.
Okay. Now, another
Mhm,
question in line with that. Now, we
mhm,
know being, and we can talk more openly about this because I see a lot of people talking openly about HIV now
mhm,
and how far it has come. As far as the treatments have come and the advancement of people living longer and doing better, which is an amazing thing. Now, being a bottom doubles your chances for contacting HIV. Now, this is, I'm sure you probably have heard that.
mhm.
We actually dug a little bit into it. Are you afraid of that?
No, I'm not afraid of it, and I noticed something when I did went to Atlanta recently to lay my grandmother to rest, and I had a lot of conversation with boys off of Jax, which is a gay app, and a lot of them, lots of them, I was chatting with. A lot of them was just always talking about raw sex, and I think that's another huge issue going on in Georgia, where a lot of them do like to have raw sex and not take care of themselves and spread the virus around. Now, if this was like in the 1980s, it'd be a different story. But we're in 2021 where there's PrEP and you can actually protect yourself from HIV and getting the transmission. Truvada actually lowers the chance of HIV/AIDS being transmitted to you. And some folks with back then are so ignorant of not having any knowledge on it. Before people that, oh, you can, if you sit on the same toilet with this person with HIV, you catch it. No, it's all through bodily fluids. Like blood, things like that, open cut wounds. You know, and those are the things that people of color need to educate themselves on it. That's most important. So that's a whole different conversation, but that's also important for our people to actually educate themselves on that because I feel like they're not very well educated on it. They hear the word HIV, AIDS, sorry, they're screaming. I had to catch myself again. They're screaming. I'm like, girl, relax, girl.
Well,
Like,
Michael, I'm going to say this. I give you, I take my wig off to you because I give you credit. It must take a lot of balls, a lot of guts to just be open and honest. And I think that that is the way to be. And I like the fact that you're straight up. This is what I like. So this way because when a lot of the time when we get in bed with people and we expect certain things, 80, I would say 50 to 60% of the time, we're disappointed. And usually the sex comes up laxed or there's something wrong or think this ain't
mhm.
working and that ain't working. And I'm just glad that you stood out from the rest and you stood up. And I just want to say thank you so much for being brave. Thank you for educating us a little bit here today on being Black and a bottom and having a sexual preference that you stand behind. And a lot of men should be like that. And the fact that you've educated yourself enough to know that your self-worth is valuable. You made some mistakes when you were younger, but now you're older and you understand that this is what I need, this is what I want. And if you don't want to be on the same page as me, then I'm going to move on. And this is an amazing thing. So I just want to say to you, Mr. Michael Clark, thank you for being an open and honest Black bottom.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. This was amazing. The questions were on point. I love it. I live it.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I'm going to say goodbye to you now, but I will see you again in the future. We will catch up with you down the road and see what you're doing. And I want to say to my audience today, Michael Clark is an amazing person for being open and honest and teaching our community and many other communities to just be yourself. And remember, when you're in love with someone, or you like someone, or you're just hooking up, be open and honest with them so that way you can get the best experience from whatever the relationship is from that person, because sometimes lovers can make great friends. So on that note, I'm going to say bye for now, Michael. Tell your friend I said, how you doing?
I will. Thank you so much.
I want to say thank you to my audience out there. Thank you for watching. This is season 2. Today we had Mr. Michael Clark on all the way from Rhode Island. And we want to just say thank you, sir. And we will talk to you soon.
Yes. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Okay.